Are we live? We are live. We're nearly live. It's saying that we're live, so I'm going to assume that we're live. Sup, shooters? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB live streams where today, for number 9, number 9. Let me just quickly adjust that to say number 9. There we are. Well, today we have ourselves the $6 requests, I suppose. Number 9 today, the live stream for it. It is over my head awkwardly. I find that like that's the best way of doing it. Without it being kind of awkward with the positioning of things. Like if we switch over to here, we've got the fish. We've got the fish swimming on the screen. The GPU is burning. You'll be pleased to know that I do actually have my GPU set to output steam. So it's not actually meant to be as hot as it is, but it just is. So that's fine. Today is the 15th of March, 2025. Hopefully if you're watching this, you're having a good day. Just in case I didn't explain this earlier in these live streams, if you want a song reviewed, if you want someone to check out a track for you, I actually forgot to put that on Discord, didn't I? Bugger, I knew I forgot something. So here, hang on. I'm just gonna just do this off screen. Yeah, that's good. That's over there. Here we are. I knew I forgot something important. Yep, song reviews. And it is today from 4 until probably like 5-ish. We usually kind of give it song reviews and requests. I'll make it 5 minutes, 10 minutes time, just so people understand that. I'll make it go 5, 10. There we go. And I believe there was a cover image of that there, so that's cool. Yeah. All right, we got songs. Nice. Okay. So that is starting in 5 minutes. So we actually do have ourselves we have a Discord, links in the description, but that should now be fixed. We should now have everything's organized there. Yeah, I suppose what we'll do today, I'm chewing on a lolly, and it's probably not great in the mic. So I'm just going to just eat it. Hi, Andres. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. It has been a while. How has life been treating you recently? Hopefully life has been going well for you. The queue is open on Ko-fi as well. So just remember, if you're coming to visit, just because this is a request live stream, if you just want to just come and hang out and chat for a bit, that's fine too. There's no need to put a song through. We can just chat for a bit. It's all cool. We might look at some music news just for a little bit. Just to see what's going on with Rolling Stone, you know. Live Nation, Ticketmaster failed to get antitrust claims dismissed. Good. Will Smith meets up with Doechii to recreate viral anxiety dance. Eddie Vedder will present Seattle Mariners San Diego Padres Rival Cup. Samia finds inspiration in bizarre places. Gene Simmons reads the weather and freestyle raps on the local news. What's happening with this? Yeah, you need to get sponsored. You need to be able to pay for it. You need to pay for this one. While Live Nation Ticketmaster may have entered the year as they called it hopeful. Oh no, poor Ticketmaster. Poor Ticketmaster, what a shame. Poor Ticketmaster. He's pleading not guilty. It's going to be really interesting to see how that thing with P. Diddy ends up. I noticed they're not using his name, P. Diddy. They're using Sean Combs. which is interesting. I suppose they're trying to avoid the branding me further tarnished. Wednesday roll? Oh, so she's in Wednesday. So they're not. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Morticia with that haircut. Just specifically with the haircut. Morticia. There we go, yeah, from the Addams Family. So I think Wednesday is based off of that, right? That's cool, though. Granted, I'm not familiar with the show, though. They might already have a Morticia. Travis Kelce looks back on a young Taylor Swift hosting Saturday Night Live. Dolly Parton makes first public appearance since Carl Dean's death. Yeah. Okay, cool. So Gene Simmons got on this one too. That's cool. Music news. Punk rock and ADHD. So this is New Zealand news. So maybe I should probably include some New Zealand news, eh? That might be good. Some New Zealand news. Neil Finn is quietly turning a ridiculous idea into a musical colossus. Homegrown music festivals that bids farewell to Wellington Waterfront. From Charlie XCX to Sabrina Carpenter, today's pop stars have nothing to say. That's a bit of a take, isn't it? They have nothing to say. I see. And I suppose that the person that is oh, thank you, Andreas. I think we've just received that. So that's literally just come through. Thank you, Andreas. I'll play this for you now, man. I have a talk about that opinion piece in the New Zealand Herald. Oh, never mind. It's from the Daily Telegraph, so it's not even a New Zealand-based one. That's fine. We can't even have our own news in New Zealand. We've got to import it from overseas. So what does Andreas have for us today? I don't know if you can hear the kid playing guitar next door. They are playing very loudly. Plan to request this for Valentine's, but it's too late, apparently. Interesting. Oh, wait, I gotta put it in this one. Oh, it did it anyways. Okay, so I'm gonna actually just, there we go, that's fine. So this is Andreas's pick, and this is, yeah, we do need more guitarists. Oh, so I'm at a temporary house anyways, whilst we look for a house, because my partner and I want to buy a house. And I'm not going to go over there and tell them off anyways, because they'd just be like, go away. Who are you to tell us what we can do? So it's chill. So this is off of the Flower Face is Valentine Extended EP, so let's do it. Let's do it, man.
With all of your friends, we'll kiss like the movies. We'll stay till the end, and then we'll get married. We can live on the beach, where it's always October. 'Cause you'd give up the sun for me, and all your friends hate me. I'm not a likable girl. Your parents keep saying
it's such an intimate vocal performance.
that I'm more trouble than I'm worth. Valentine.
What did that say there in this subtitles? Intimate vocal performance. Yeah.
What do they know?
I don't trust those auto set captions.
Does it belong to you and me, or everybody now? Love of mine, why'd you go? I can't forget you just wanna be free of me. I was always a stranger, not a comfortable kid, sick from the sunlight, crescent moon wrists. But I gave you something. I built a whole world for you, but I took it too far, like I always do. And I love you so deeply, and you hurt me so bad. I'm all out of poetry. You made me so sad. Valentine,
I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's so luxurious with the layers.
happy now.
The layers. Good job.
Oh, you're so good at leaving. Can you teach me how? Love of mine, I'm not doing so well. I've never been a runner. I tend to stick around, but you were always a flight risk. Everyone knew it, except for me.
So Andreas, before I forget, Andreas, what do you like about this track? Because I love it. You like the floating reverbs? I do too. I think they're gorgeous. I think they're gorgeous. I love the haziness and the mistiness of it, you know. Because that was Andreas's pick. Thanks for your request, Andreas. That was Flowerface with their song Valentine, the extended version there. Now, what do we think this track is about? I think, hang on. I think this is about someone who has put their all into a relationship and they really tried to make it special. And you get the feeling from it. That is their hope for a bright future with this person and their dreams have just been dashed against the rocks. And they were told by other people that this person was a flight risk. And then what happened was that it just didn't work out. You know, things just went badly and they got hurt. And part of what I appreciate about this track, and to be fair to you, Andreas, it does fit the theme of broken hearts. It does. I think that the string section is tied neatly so well to the exquisite performance of the vocals. So there's this overall feeling of loss and regret, and almost like we've sort of been humbled by the experience. It almost seems like we have been taught that we should never have gotten maybe excited about it, that we should have never have wished for, even thought that things could have necessarily, you know when you get humbled to a point where there's no recovery from it, it's just too intense. That's the kind of impression I get from this. I think that the actual vocal technique and everything like that is fantastic. They sing well, and I love the harmonies and how exquisite they are. But it's also the breathiness, the vulnerability on display on the mic is tremendous. And I appreciate and just feel that this is just such an authentic performance from them where it just seems like it's really something deeply personal to them. They're putting their heart out on that microphone. And the strings, the secondary thing there, they mirror that the strummed guitar parts, some of the key parts, the drums, etc. That I don't feel like they necessarily communicate as much of that sort of support or that sympathy, or the relatability as some of those lone sort of like bows from the strings, the violin, and it just sounds sad when it's by itself. You know, almost like you are playing your own sort of violin. Um, And so it's just got a very sort of like almost rustic tone to it. Like you get the romanticism of being more sort of a traditional kind of like if we go back to the lyrics really quickly, you know, you just get the feeling I can imagine like fields and like a nostalgic kind of vintage field of the track from the way they describe things. And it's kind of soothing in a weird way. Like there could be harshness in the track. This is this sad because of the pain they feel, but they're just sort of like trying to cope with it in a very sort of bittersweet, not melancholic way. Like there's a bit of like there's some other major parts almost seem like they're happy they had the experience, or maybe even that they didn't get put more into it than they did. But yeah, I just feel like the actual instruments that were chosen were smart ones to go with. And it's just the actual structure of the piece. They're allowing a lot of space for you to be able to absorb the individual components outside of the storytelling. To have an entire minute at the end simply just to appreciate the slide guitars there, the way they waft and mist around there, the ride cymbals there with the triplets and buzz rolls there, the strum parts there. There's a really pleasant glow to it, but an inherent sadness. And it's almost like we're just kind of accepted and then we're trying to move on regardless. Like we can't get too stuck in there. So I think it's a really interesting piece compositionally and thematically. It's effective. I understand why this would work as a Valentine's Day piece. Thank you for your request, Andreas. I appreciate it. Um, I like. I know you mentioned before that you find songs just through searching through playlists and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like it's so cool that you find lots of interesting, unique stuff. I wonder if because you maybe focus more on the sort of ambient, atmospheric, or instrumental stuff, that maybe you get more sort of like exposure to it, to a lot of different types within that, 'cause is less sort of like centered on a specific genre, or you know, very cool though.
You made me
I mean, just it sounds like a live performance as well. They played their instruments very well. Like it was very tight instrumentally. You could just tell they were in the room together, sort of trying to sort of like soothe each other with it. But yeah, that was Andreas's pick for today. That was good. I suppose we shall continue with the music news. I would like to know more about why it is that the Daily Telegraph thinks that from Charlie XX to Sabrina Carpenter, today's pop stars have nothing to say. How is it that they feel when there are lyrics in a song that they have nothing to say? Opinions, attitude, and politics once went hand in hand with good music. Why does this generation have nothing to say? I don't know. Maybe it's because people literally die depending on how vocal they are about their politics because of how tenuous the situation with politics at the moment. Maybe it's because there is probably a lot of pressure on mainstream artists to not have a political affiliation from major labels because of how problematic it is. And because of how it can split your fan base down the middle depending on what you say. If pop is the voice of youth, then why does this generation have so little to say? I don't know why they cannot Oh, so this is actually. I discovered this particular artist from an IEM review. They mentioned some of her older work as a test track. That's where I find her. What do you think makes them unique? Like, what is it about their music that helps you to identify and relate to it? Is it simply that their music is written well overall? Do you think there's a specific thing that you appreciate about their music in general? Or because what I've been thinking about recently is that it's actually incredibly like important to just talk to people who like music about the music and why they like it, to ask people about that. Because you can learn a lot about music from the fans of music. We live in fraught times of glaring political division, terrible wars, climate disasters, and general existential gloom about the future, but you would never guess it from the hit parade. Watching today's anointed populate singing and dancing for their supper at the recent Brit and Grammy Awards, you would have a very hard time locating any awareness of life beyond dating apps and TikTok dance crazes. Who wants to like open up Spotify or whatever when they are taking a break from the job they don't like, or they're taking a break from any issues in their relationship, or maybe they've just been inundated by a whole lot of political stuff from whichever side they're on, and the opposite one what they don't agree with. Who then wants to sort of listen to their favorite musician suddenly after releasing a whole lot of really chill music start talking about politics? Like, I get that this person is probably thinking back to a lot of the protest music in the 20th century, and I agree that there is room for that. But there's like a specific like place for that, right? I don't necessarily think that Charlie XCX and I don't think that Charlie XCX and Sabrina Carpenter would necessarily benefit from it. Honestly, like I would assume that potentially a lot of some generations, especially like younger generations, are probably completely apathetic to the situation just because of how much it just gets kind of loaded on you and you don't know how to cope with it. I think Andreas says, I think I tend to gravitate to slow tempo, sweet, airy female voice. I dig that, man. I dig that. I think that's a nice sort of peaceful type of music. And that's a beautiful thing, right? Just being able to hear something and sort of sit with it and just feel like you're in a cozy blanket. That's a nice feeling. At least socially conscious rocker Sam Fender gave us a blast of gritty northern realism, but he stuck out like a dirty old thumb among all the giddily choreographed ditties about love, sex, and dancing. The Geordie Bruce Springsteen appears to represent a lone voice of passionate protest in the contemporary pop charts. You could scour the hit parade in vain for songs that stray too far from romantic templates established in more innocent pre-rock and roll times, albeit with a touch more awareness of female perspectives and a heightened sensitivity towards mental health issues. But that's what the people listening to the music can relate to. Like, what if that is just simply what makes these people happy? It's kind of like very kind of why isn't there important music? Because the music I listened to was complaining about things, and that's clearly got more merit than music that just makes you feel good. I don't. A sharply witty coterie of female pop singer-songwriters spearheaded by Taylor Swift lead the lyrical pack these days with songs forensically dissected modern dating etiquette and other romantic mores. Noah Kahan, Benson Boone, Post Malone, and a new wave of apolitical country songsmiths serenade the world with dated dreams of vanished small-town American values. Superstar rappers Drake and Kendrick Lamar are too busy making nasty, bitchy diss tracks about each other to even question whether schoolyard bullying is a worthy cause of their lyrical talents. The guy is trying to get a reaction, I think, eh? He's just trying to get a reaction. The other fav of mine, says Andreas, are the post-rock ambient instrumental things with Wall of Sounds. I find that it helps me focus with work. That's interesting. So for you, Andreas, you can listen to that. Yeah, fair. Yeah, I get you. I get you. I understand that. It can just be pleasant to not have to hear a person's thoughts or feelings on that kind of stuff, right? It's nice to sort of have the music tell a story, and I suppose for you to sort of create your own world out of it. I dig it, man. I dig it. I feel you on that. I think this guy's just doesn't like Drake and Kendrick Lamar. I mean, that's it, right? For I mean, the rap and hip hop, it's like it's meant. Meanwhile, Charlie XCX was raised up as a savior of British pop with a Sappho electric banger about the color of her underwear. The biggest global hit of 2024 was Espresso, a song from former Disney star Sabrina Carpenter equating sexual attraction with the pleasure of drinking black coffee. So, I mean, so now I like sex and coffee as much as the next person. Since the dawn of recorded music. Sup, Blue Dinner Box? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully things are going okay for you. We are hearing, we are listening to an opinion about. Oh, you'll love this, Blue Dinner Box. From Charlie XCX to Sabrina Carpenter, today's pop stars have nothing to say. What do you think about that? I feel like that's a pretty hot take, but I also feel like they're trying to get a reaction out of the people that read it. So the greatest and most venerated stars of pop and rock sang and spoke out on matters from the political to the personal, articulating and illuminating our times from alternate perspectives, and themselves being venerated and derogated for their lyrics and opinions. And I just don't hear that anymore. The modern pop charts are completely dominated by solo artists with nothing of consequence to say about the state of the world. How did this happen? It just could be, for example, that there are like millions of people talking about state of the world when you open up your phone. It could be that every single possible take has been created and curated and put forward on that, and it doesn't necessarily benefit anyone to like suddenly get into, hey, this is like, I don't feel like the world would necessarily benefit from hearing these musicians talk about that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah. Earlier this year, Hollywood heartthrob Timothy Chalamet scored a major blockbuster movie hit playing young Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown, with audiences of all ages flocking to see a story about the emergence of modern culture's greatest lyricist. I mean, it's good hearing artists talking about big stuff, but not everyone likes them in songs. No, so he was talking about Charlie XCX about like the guest song, and they were talking about what happened with the Sup Jacob. How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. They were talking about the Charlie XCX song, and then they were also talking about Espresso from Sabrina Carpenter, which is equating sort of like the sexual stuff to drinking black coffee. And they were saying that apparently that was not as meaningful as Bob Dylan. And it's like, yeah, but we still have Bob Dylan. He's still making music, right? Is Dylan still making music? He's still alive, right? Bob Dylan. No. Because that's the thing, right? I feel like when Bob Dylan started making music, there was a lot of people who wanted people to discuss that. They wanted musicians who could articulate their viewpoints on things in ways which were creative and interesting. I don't necessarily know if Sabrina Carpenter or Charlie XCX fans are wanting them to talk about this, but that doesn't make them less successful or meaningful musicians because their music makes people happy. So this is a very, very hot take. And also, it's like pop music and Bob Dylan are very different. I don't understand how you can compare them. Rock, which is a cultural idea, really included a whole panoply of singer-songwriters, soul and reggae artists, became the expressive voice of youth. So alongside all of the love and dance songs that continue to thrive post Tin Pan Alley, a new pop discourse emerged covering every subject under the sun. Such iconoclastic and lyrically bold superstars as Dylan, John Lennon, David Bowie, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Bruce Springsteen, and Bob Marley were viewed as spokespeople for their generation. To be a singer-songwriter of the caliber of Joni Mitchell or Paul Simon came with expectations that you had something interesting to say about the world that we live in. But is it not interesting within itself that people simply want to talk about going to the clubs and talking about who they're into? And is it not interesting that that is what people are wanting to listen to? Is that within itself not a comment on the state of what a lot of people want to hear from their music? Like, does it have to why does it have to be profound? Can we not simply take at face value the fact that a lot of music want to hear music like that, and that is more of a comment on society? Like, that is what people are wanting more of. Like there's already so many other people talking about politics anyways. And now they're sort of, because these opinions are way more accessible nowadays, right? Punk, new wave, and early hip hop further pushed that idea that opinions and attitude matter. I'm not suggesting it was all highbrow seriousness, far from it. There continue to be boy bands and girl bands, dance divas, and plastic pop wonders. All the joyous froth of pop itself, but the biggest stars of popular music culture were bold enough to articulate ideas. In the 1980s, Madonna was a mainstream dance idol, but also a motormouth confrontational cultural trailblazer who saw no conflict between her role as entertainer and actually having things to say. Yeah, but like, if U2 became the biggest band in the world, blazing away about social injustice, but that's because they wanted to make music about that. And that's then, therefore, because they got rewarded by a career out of it, because of the combination of the marketing and people appreciating their opinions as well as their music. If there's a chance nowadays that there was less of a chance that Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, and stuff like that would necessarily have the career that they have if they decided to completely pivot and do that, because the audience that they've built who want to hear the different music might not necessarily like them more if they suddenly entirely focus on that. I don't know. That held true through the 1990s when grunge, Britpop, trip hop, and some of the older hip hop artists regularly took songs of social comment and generational angst to the upper reaches of the charts, but that kind of messaging has been fading throughout the 21st century. Of course, there are still bands who feed on notions of rock rebellion, but they barely trouble the signals charts and carry a little weight in pop culture discourse. So that's exactly what we want. You've got what you want. You've got musicians who are talking about it. And they're not having the careers or the success that these bigger musicians are. And part of that is because people are not wanting to hear that subject matter. It's not that it's irrelevant or unimportant, but if we're basing success on our success as a musician on how well we can talk about politics or big world issues, then why would you not just sort of focus more on? But that's the thing. To be fair, David, there are a lot of musicians who are. The guy literally says that there are, plenty of singer-songwriters address the complexities of existence, but are drowned out by the chart stampede to emulate Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift with witty songs about dating. I just feel like they're successful because people want to hear those. If people wanted to hear the songs about existence, they would listen to those. There would be more streams for those. I feel like in this day and age where things are so inherently stressful for a lot of people, it can be better. Yeah, for sure. And that's the point. It's because people don't want to listen to the politics in their music that they dance and sing along to at this point in time. That is proven by the fact that they are not in the top 10. If people wanted political artists and musicians who are doing that kind of stuff in the top 10, well, they would be there because people would be searching them out and supporting them more. But I think that people are more interested at this point of trying to add a sense of escapism, which I completely respect, because in a lot of situations, like, it's just difficult for a lot of people to fix things. So they listen to music as an escape, and being faced with the reality of the situation when you're trying to escape just isn't really as attractive to people. It's also dangerous because I've listened to music recently where it's very much kind of like almost propaganda, like from independent artists. And it's scary. You just get sucked into a loophole. So I feel like there's also a risk where there's political stuff, that music that is made, that is more, it's more than just a protest. It's trying to sort of kind of trick people into going for one side or the other as opposed to getting to question it. So it's just an interesting sort of dynamic at the moment. But I feel that like expecting musicians who are successful for one type of music to need for them to not be as valid because they're not talking about world stuff. I just think they're kind of that. I don't understand the connection with that argument. I don't think that they should be expected to do something that's not made them successful. Yeah. Yeah. I think that music, if it's telling a story and it's telling a story that you listen to enough, you can start to believe it. I think that I've literally heard music from like, yeah, it's like, I don't want to go into it because it's a bit tricky. Because I've also got some tracks to review. But yeah, I think so. I think that basically your belief system is dependent on what you hear and what you think and what you know. And people who are feeling vulnerable often try and find a sense of hope. And people who tell them what they want to hear in songs and stories might be that one sort of thing they can relate to. And it could be used for like nefarious purposes. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I know personally that I have only been able to relate to certain songs at times more than people. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see though. Yeah, interesting situation though. Eh? So we got 3 requests. Thank you, Dr. Theo. We shall start with yours. We also have one from Dinnerhay as well as Jacob Good. We'll listen through all 3 of those. Yeah. I think my point initially was that while I load this up, my initial point was that I disagree that they have nothing to say. I just think it's invalid to say they have nothing to say if they're not saying what you want them to say. Yeah, exactly. So I just don't think that people are listening to enough of it at this point to put it on the charts. That's it. You could argue that labels are deliberately trying to sort of push musicians to make music that they want them to play. I at the very least, I feel like musicians should have the choice to do so. And I don't think that a musician's success should be invalidated because they're not saying what you want them to say. But yeah, we got Vigilante by Fat Dog. This is from Dr. Theo. We're going to listen through that now. Let's do it. What do we got? That's cool. So that is, I assume that's probably on Spotify. I don't see I don't see a link for that. Here we go. So apparently this is wow. Dr. Theo. Copy that. Thanks for your request.
It was the light at the beginning of time. It was the light at the end of time.
Hear that up there.
The light is at the center. Even in your darkest hour, look for the light, and it will be there. I was there to watch
Incredibly
the
atmospheric.
first rich itself.
Incredibly atmospheric. What Sferg? What was that?
Systems tear themselves apart as the tides came in and froze and thawed and the cracks of the earth opened. Gaping first beasts dragged their swollen bellies onto the beaches before the light of the sun. Before the light of the sun had even reached the earth to burn their flesh, I watched the first man draw blood from the second man, saw the first death and the failure of flesh, the failure of flesh against flesh. We are all just dogs, gnashing our teeth at the moon.
Hella heavy. Great additional layer of that woodwindy kind of lead on top. Sup, Judith? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well.
Granny tights on my head. Vigilante when you all fucking dead. You wanna smoke? You want one more? I'll break your wrist, don't care about the law. Now running from the cops. A snooker ball inside my daddy's socks. Vigilante in my bed. Return the tools to my night shell.
We've got the rainfall at the end. Nice.
At the end of time, the light is at the center. Even in your darkest hour, look for the light. Tear themselves apart.
So, like, I'm not sure what this track is about, Vigilante. I'm not sure what Vigilante is about. Are they saying they're the vigilante? Are they saying that we're all vigilantes? Because a vigilante, of course, being a member of self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority, because their legal agencies are thought to be inadequate. So we're more sort of like suggesting that like we're all the same, gnashing our teeth at the moon, that we're all dogs and we're all in the same no matter what. And it's almost like this is like a rise to power, something looking for the light, looking for the moon, etc. I'm trying to sort of figure this one out. There's like different parts that I suppose might get further context as we go along. I would probably want to sort of like listen to a few more tracks to kind of sort of figure it out, or maybe even like a listen through it again. But it's an interesting track regardless. The song itself, the vocal part is Andreas said. Andreas saying, I like the speech and instrumental style. I do. I like that too. I think that the way that it's spoken is very theatrical and dramatic. And it represents, it's almost like a cinematic intro to this world that he's trying to create there. It makes it seem larger than life. And it's very heavy. And there's a sense of tension and trepidation as things sort of build up around it. And it effectively is sort of like an electronic dance track. It has sort of like a retro lo-fi feel to some of the elements within those drop sections. But it's kind of cool. And it's kind of dope. But I think the vocals here, we aren't trying to sing it. We're more sort of speaking it. We're almost sort of like monologuing there. And it's just an interesting approach to it that makes it a little more sort of unique. The track at 3 minutes 20, because the vocals are one of the things I like about it. I also appreciated the actual... The structure being relatively sort of telegraphable, like you could kind of follow along the way that was predictable, but also simply the satisfaction in knowing the drop is almost like the safe space. You never know where the guy is going to go with the storytelling, but you know when you get there that it's going to be sort of like you better sort of like have that familiar woodwind kind of lead on the second half, and it's almost like you can feel it. It's sort of like an exotic feel with the harmonica melodic minors that they were using within that sort of sense, which made it seem like there's a bit of danger and like almost like an otherworldly kind of feel to it.
As the tides, before the light of the sun had even reached the
I mean, like, to be fair, the first half of it was like 1 minute, like 30 before that drop there. It definitely works well as an album starter because you're led into this world, this very sort of like cinematic universe there with things going aside, the choirs, etc., the hi-hats, and all these other instruments. And it builds up over time. So there's a sense of like tension as it kind of increases.
look dreaming at their own being. I was there when the sun had even reached the earth to burn their flesh. I watched the first man draw blood.
Or is he the original vigilante? Is that it? But then he talks about how everyone is the same dog gnashing their teeth there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to take that. But yeah, there's almost like, as a closing comment just on the structure being quite interesting, with like a predictability to the drops, but like the drama of everything before it being rather special. It's also the production style where it sounds kind of almost retro in that it's not a super clean sounding recording. There's like a graininess and dustiness to the filtering and EQ, which sort of makes it seem like an old school horror film. And I kind of like the fact that we're trying to go for a different style. It makes it unique when you don't overproduce stuff. It's still well balanced and leveled with the Stereofield and Frequency spectrum. Don't get me wrong. It's just more that what we're doing additional to that is adding our own sense of sort of like our own mark, our own creative stamp on it in the post-production that allows us to do whatever we want with everything before it, instrumentally or in regards to the vocal performance. And it kind of ties it together in a way which makes it sort of like I could probably hear other parts of this album and kind of tie it together in a way that makes sense. It's an interesting sort of style there. I appreciate being able to hear it. Apparently, according to Dr. Theo, this album was a surprise hit last year, was blowing up as their debut album. I think that's fantastic. Good on them. Honestly, it's great. Thank you for sharing this, Dr. Theo. I did enjoy it. I just feel like I probably want another listener to just sort of absorb everything because it was quite a lot to take in on that first time. But that was cool. Yeah. So that was Dr. Theo's. After that, we have a song from Jacob Good. So this is, what have we got? Got the song titled Incubus Deep Inside. I like Incubus. Do you like Incubus? Oh, by the way, Dr. Theo, if you're watching this, what is your favorite part about the track that we just listened to? What do you like the most about it? I'm trying to remember to ask everyone what they like about the tracks, their favorite bits, just to sort of keep track of it, you know? Because it's good to hear your thoughts too. In the meantime, we have Incubus with Deep Inside off for the Science. I mean, the hi-hat work is fantastic.
It's 3 o'clock, and we ask ourselves, where are we now? It seemed we wandered out of bounds.
I mean, it's just ferocious. So what is acid jazz? Acid jazz. What is that? What is that genre? How would you describe that genre, Jacob? Oh, what the happened then?
It's 4 o'clock, and we ask ourselves,
No, don't.
Where did we go wrong? We passed now, southeastern, our rock deep inside, I'm on my own. I can't see straight. Deep inside, 'cause I'm so stoned, I can't see straight.
Interesting melodic unison with those guitar parts. And modulating between those.
It's 5 o'clock, and we tell ourselves to get home. The sun's creeping overhead. I I know exactly where we are. Where the fuck are we?
I mean, it's phenomenal guitar playing. Really clean with those leads there. Fantastic. So that was from Jacob. Thank you to Jacob for your request. That was Deep Inside from Incubus. Now, I'm not as familiar with Incubus as I maybe would have expected myself to be at this point, but what is this track about? I'm going to look through the lyrics. Yeah, okay. So I think this is basically about spending a night out with someone that you're with and just basically getting so stoned that you almost sort of lose yourself. I think there'll be people that can relate to having had the experiences like that when they've been out with friends or just on their own there. Just the way you kind of get lost in it and you feel like you've got to get back, but you don't know how. And it's kind of having maybe like a big trip or something like that and just sort of like getting sort of lost in the sauce. It's cool. I feel like it sort of sounds... One of the things I appreciate is the way it's sung, especially that last part. I know exactly where we are, where the fuck are we? You know, it's very kind of blunt. That almost seems a bit too sort of real for them. It's very much kind of we've lived this, and just the exploration with certain notes there, the way we kind of navigate the scales and keys associated there. We have notes which are simply held a bit longer than forward for emphasis. We have variations of the flow there, working with different rhythms, either tying together more with sort of the drum guitar parts or sort of standing alone from that. And I also appreciate as a final note that we've also got that versatility to include a bit of sort of like jazzy kind of scattish kind of vocal fray. And that later section there, going in time with the lead guitars there, sort of like dancing around that. It's just very charismatic, and it almost seems like we're having fun with the situation, even though we're tripping out. And it just seems like we're locked in and loaded. The singer did a tremendous job. It's really good. You know, apart from the actual technique being solid, it's the actual character behind it. I feel like the drums are another thing that I really appreciate about this track. They absolutely smashed it. There's such a phenomenal finesse on the kit across the wide variety of different hi-hat grooves. They were very sort of like comfortable with the flow between the 16th and 32nds and triplets. All sorts of fun stuff going on with the cymbals there. It's also just the 16th note groove overall with the tom and kick and sort of snare parts there. We even have some sort of hand drums as additional percussion there alternatively, and it's just... And we also know how to kind of go between the kind of jazzy elements there with the cleaner parts with the guitars, bass, etc. And we also have some more sort of tom-oriented stuff with the heavier elements where the guitars come in really on the sides. It's just very sort of overwhelming. So we know our kit well enough to know exactly what sort of overall sound we want at certain parts. And it's just really pleasant to listen to because of that sort of like finesse there. Yeah, that finesse and that sort of like awareness. But I think finally, the thing I appreciate about this track is the contrast between the actual beautiful clean tone of the guitarist playing those bar chords and little arpeggiated licks there and the little lead parts later on as well with a light bit of fragrant distortion on it. And going into the other half of this track, which is just furious distortion on the sides and fuzz that is just so earth-shatteringly heavy. It's just a force. It's just incredible intensity to that. That is overwhelming, but also simultaneously impressive in how they still manage to kind of allow it to kind of like balance itself there. It's really cool how they kind of play with the dynamic intensity of the track in a way that is unpredictable and is more sort of oriented around maybe what they're singing about. Like you can see the way too deep inside to get home, that part there was just filthy, and then we come out of it almost like we've accepted that we know where we are and we don't. It's almost like we're just back to the general sort of like loop of things. So I think instrumentally, it was incredibly well done, especially the parts on the guitar and across the range of instruments. It's just the intensity of the actual guitar takes itself, the sound of those, the production on those, and also the actual vocal performance to me that made this track special. But Jacob, if you're watching this, what did you like about it? I noticed Dr. Theo, thank you for your request, by the way, Jacob, as well as to you, Dr. Theo. Apparently, Dr. Theo liked the cinematic intro. It sets the right atmosphere and it makes the bridge fit better. I would agree with that. I think they set a precedent at the start and they followed through with it. And I feel like if they can commit with that with the rest of the album, you have a very, very strong track. My music video for it is that it's a trailer for a fake game that's about being a werewolf and being Doom-like. Yeah, absolutely. You can kind of imagine all the werewolves at the moon and the person being there since the dawn of time and all like that. It's very cool. But yeah, that was Incubus with Deep Inside. I've only heard the softer stuff from Incubus. I haven't necessarily clicked with it, but I do appreciate their kind of more experimental stuff, I suppose. But we have a track from Dinahay now that is titled, what is it called? It's called Skate, if I'm not mistaken, which is an interesting song. We've been listening to a bit of Bruno Mars recently, and I love it. I love his music. He's a fantastic vocalist. Yeah, let's do it. What do we have next from, Skate. Boom. 284 million plays, dude. That is a phenomenal success. Skate. And while I remember, Dinahay, what do you like about this track? Thank you for your request. I mean, the percussion is phenomenal. I mean, just it's so slick with the transitions, the transfers, a little da 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 da. Those little, it's so full of little cute musical ideas that just are just air candy.
And your skin glistening. I can smell your sweet perfume. You smell better than a barbecue. A superstar is what you are. I'm your biggest fan. If you're looking for a man, sugar, here I am. I'm tryna roll. I'm tryna ride. I'm tryna roll with your die. I'm tryna float. I'm tryna glide. Oh, no, no, don't be shy. Just take my hand and hold on tight. Oh, skate to me, baby. Skate. Slide your way on over. Slide your way on over. Skate to me, baby. Skate. I wanna get to know ya. I wanna get to know ya. I never fall, but tonight you got me falling for you. And only you.
Fantastic shift in vibe.
I'm reaching out in hopes that you reach for me too. Girl, let's groove. Girl, you got me singing. Ooh, my oh my, oh my. Skate to me, baby. Skate. Come on, slide your way on over. Slide your way on over. Skate to me, baby. Skate. I wanna get to know.
I feel like that was the direction for this entire album, David. I agree with you there.
Just slide your way on over. Slide your way on over. Skate to me, my baby. I wanna get to know ya. I wanna get to know ya.
And we just got that wonderful fade out there, that delay there. Thank you to Dinahay for putting forward this track from an act named Silk Sonic titled Skate. This track, which features Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak is part of the duo Silk Sonic, off of the An Evening with Silk Sonic album. This one here, it's a phenomenal album. So, what do we think this track is about? I think this song is about two people talking about they're flirting with a girl. They want to skate on over. There's a lot of interesting wordplay, like talking about how they smell better than the sweet perfume smells better than a barbecue. What else? The way you move like you do, it's like you do it for a living. Do a little spin, do it again. Like, damn, it's just the swagger, dude. The riz, if that's not too cringe on my part. I don't think I've said riz before in my life. I think it's dope. I think it's really cool. I like the fact that this seems like they're going back to the era that I think David is describing, like the early sort of soul groups there. It has an incredible sort of vintage retro tone to it. And one of the things I appreciate is that it is so percussion led, a lot like the previous track, but here it's a lot of the attitude here, just finding all these interesting little gaps and facets to have as points of interest, like all the different, like if we go just here, it's the work on the toms as well as the hi-hats and the kicks there that's incredibly stunning for me, because it's just so vivacious. It's like, how do you possibly think to naturally put that unless you're familiar with music of like the mid 20th century, where it wasn't just all kicks and snares. There was a lot of tom work on the floors. There was a focus on having the halftime stuff not be as sort of like snare centric, or having this sort of like the kind of chord note groove and those chorus parts. It's just an incredible exploration of the kit. I believe from Anderson .Paak, who's a fantastic drummer. But it's also the fact that I appreciated that they had, I think Anderson was at the start, maybe singing if I'm not mistaken, and then it was Bruno. And it's like one guy's perspective than the other, and they're both kind of flirting with the girl and stuff like that. And it just kind of helps to flesh out the track, because you get into the state where you're like, yeah, okay, I'm following each of them having a go. They're having fun there. It's a beautiful sort of vibe to it. And it's just the actual quality of the vocal performance on both is great, but there's also that sort of charisma, and they sound like they're having fun with it. They sound like they're smooth and suave and sophisticated, but it's also like it's just great sort of attitude from them, and they're really selling it within this track. I think finally it's the actual composition of the track, the way that it's written, the structure of it. And so like well, not necessarily even the structure of it, but it's just the intricacy of the actual composition itself, the interweaving of not just the percussive elements, but also the different bass lines rolling with the roots and sort of traversing the modes. I think there are also some like clean sort of guitar strum parts as well, some sort of like funk chords and stuff working with those bars and extensions there. The keys there, sparkling there. The string section, even a bit of brass there. So many different colors and interesting additions to a piece that just sounds really full of life and vivacious, like it is celebrating the interaction that they're having. And so it's the fact that we continue to play with expectations, have different chord progressions on top of everything else, and that sense of composition, diversity, in all facets, that really does lead me to believe that this is an incredible song. And it's combining those different parts together, you know, like the vocal performances, the actual percussion elements of it, the different grooves on that adds sort of like a real sense of kind of finesse to it, and then just everything else, how that was written. And it's just a really fantastic song. So thank you to Dinner Hay for putting this track forward. I continue to always enjoy my time listening to their music. I feel at this point, Bruno Mars and Silk Sonic, but you know, they're one of the musicians I listen to, and I almost always feel comfortable listening to them when I do stuff. I just feel like it's difficult to go wrong with them. Now, this actually may surprise you. I think we're gonna probably have to close the queue in a moment because I have to do a review. I have to do a review before I have food, and it's a bigger review. It's like an album review. So I've probably got time for like another half dozen tracks. But I just want to thank Dinner Hay for that previous one. And next we have Andreas. So let's do it, Andreas. Let's go. And Andreas, same question as last time, man. What do you like about the track that you're going to put forward? What have we got? So this is my second request, and we're going to figure out what that is now. What have we got as a second request? PG Lost. Yes, I am. What is this? What do you like about it? That gave me a fright. That got me. That gave me a fright. I was not expecting it to suddenly come in like that. Fantastic. Ooh. Interesting delay on those guitar parts. Delay on those guitar parts. Yeah, fantastic. Fascinating. It's like a whole new chapter, you know? And that unfortunately is 5 minutes. That music is mesmerizing, it's hypnotic. That was PG Lost with their track, Yes I Am. Andreas's pick, second pick for today. Thank you to Andreas for that. Now, this is an instrumental, so I'm not totally sure what it's about. Maybe this is the musician's representation of who they feel they are as a human being. And that's a very sort of like colorful one. You know, not in a way where it's like raunchy, but it's done in a way where there's just this there's a lot of features within that mid-range with the different guitar takes, the reverbs, the delays, etc., the bass filling in that low end. But it's a really unique piece. I think for one reason that I really enjoyed this track is because of the actual start of it. It's just so cool to have a band be so comfortable with having less. You'll find that a lot of the time people will try and push to go up. And they'll try and go, I want to have more here. I'm worried that people will get bored. And they don't. You know, like we add extra guitar layers later on. We add some sort of cymbal hits and stuff like that. We do build. But just at the beginning, there's this kind of noise there. It's like a gentle kind of hum and then it's kind of like evolves and maybe becomes more sure of itself. So I think that's really positive. So I think structurally, it's really interesting. I also think like just how beautiful those guitar tones are with the delays and reverbs on them. They're wonderfully clean, well-performed parts that are just incredibly they're gentle and they're easy to listen to. You know, if you're not necessarily a massive fan of distorted guitar, I feel like this is the exception to the rule. You can listen to this and go, yeah, no, I love what's going on with the tremolo picking after that break there. I appreciate the power of it. I appreciate the intensity, the way it sort of overwhelms me because it's got like major and minor tones and triads involved there. There's no really harsh textures. There's nothing there that is alienating for people who are unfamiliar with it. I kind of feel like this is a really great track for people who are unfamiliar with how instrumentals roll in the first place and they kind of want to start a piece. So this is it. It's gorgeous. And I just think that the note choices here make the most of the space that we have within the arrangement when things go down or come up. They sit there with a fantastic presence and are just really sort of like fragrant to listen to. But finally, I do think the structure is the final component that I appreciate. I suppose the first comment I made about the hum at the start was just interesting, but that was more just about the approach to that specific part of the piece there. This is a song that is through composed. You get more and more and more of the band and the musician's journey as we go along until you get to a point where it's sort of all encompassing and you enjoy the journey with it. There are points where it suddenly comes and it catches you by surprise. There is a break around the 3-minute 40 mark after we have an extended section. It kind of goes even bigger. And it's just very rewarding. It's like the post game content, if that makes sense. You've already had a lot to enjoy, but then it just continues to sort of provide. And so I think ultimately it's just a really well played piece with an interesting concept that makes the most of the 5 minutes I listened to. And I was honestly sad that we can't listen to more of it, but I'm thankful that I had the chance to hear it. Thank you, Andreas, for your request there. I appreciate it. It's good. It's a cool song. It's a cool song. So that was great. I'd say it's probably one of my favorite pieces for today. But we've still got 4 more to go. So the next track is from Judith. Oh no, it's from David. Sorry, David. Judith's is next. Is it? Yeah, so it's David, then Judith, then Paul, then Judith. Hello, Paul. How you doing? Hopefully having a good day. And the same thing as I've said to other people, David, what do you like about this track? What do you appreciate? What do you like about it? Because what track is this? Highway Star Speed Star. What is this? Is it on Spotify or YouTube's? Yay! There we go. I think it's this one. Oh, it's quick. Nice. Well, this is fun. I mean, the brisk pace of the drums. It's just very full for a lot of it, right? I mean, it's just an absolutely phenomenal organ solo. Fantastic chord to end it on as well. Okay, because it sounded kind of like it sort of resolved itself on a 7th or something like that, which was an interesting choice. But yeah, that was Highway Star Speed Star from Symbols. Beautiful song. That was David's request. Thank you. David says, I like the melodies and harmonies, so different from current pop. Reminds me of 60s bands like the Monkees and the Beatles. Yeah, I hear that. So I think I'm not sure what this track is about, apart from the fact that it said the party won't be end on this Highway Star. So maybe the song is about the party that they're having. Maybe that's the kind of approach that we're going to for it. It's all about a big party, like life is one big party or something like that, or it's one big adventure. I like the art for this one. It says, Mr. No One Special. This long player is the record that contains several stories of a man who is nothing special. He calls himself Mr. No One Special. Thrill, suspense, action, and romance. Please play it gently. I just think that's a really cool sort of like album cover. That's kind of dope. So in terms of things I appreciate about this, I would agree with you, David. I think that one of the things that's really works well about this is the actual variety of different chord progressions and like actual chords themselves, the intricacy of those different 7th extensions, the way we modulate going up and down chromatics or tones, the way we have just this flurry of spice with the movements, with the bass lines at the brisk pace that we have with the speed of it. It's a very technically impressive piece there to be able to go between those in a way which is musical and makes sense. But also to navigate the twists and turns there shows an advanced understanding of music theory and composition. So just understanding how to sort of like resolve to go backwards and forwards like that is not a common thing. I think it takes a lot of effort to sort of even give a sense of context to it. But I think the kind of the chaos and kind of almost wackiness of it makes it sound like one big party, you know, on the journey to that Highway Star. It makes it more musically exciting in a sense. And I think another thing that sort of really helps this track kind of pop off is the drums. The drums are incredible. I've said percussion has been incredible 7 times today because there have been some phenomenal performances on the kit. Here, just the speed and the attention to detail and the precision of the way we played those patterns there was wonderful. It's incredibly difficult stuff to do on a kit, especially if it's played acoustically. You have to be very, very good at what you're doing in order to pull that off on a live set or in a studio, and they are. There's also a lot of other incredible sort of like performances, like including the organ solo that we had in the later half of it that was just wild. It was just so fast. It was such a fast solo section. But it's just the freneticism of it makes sense with the subject matter, and the fact that we could pull it off in a way where it didn't sound like kind of cluggy or kind of mismatched or like off was very sort of like cool. So I think that was really sick. I think in addition to the actual how impressed I am with the actual instrument performances and the way that they help sort of match the actual story that the song is relied on, it's also the actual way that it's sung there. It's very kind of like gentle and perky and sort of like upbeat without being too much, and it is simple in regards to a lot of the other elements within the composition, that in a way that helps it to stand out. It's the minimalism in the way we sort of sung things allows you to pay attention to both. They niche on top of each other, and it's almost neutral enough to kind of form your own understanding of it. It's almost like they accept the chaos, the kind of crazy adventure they're going to go on, and they're just sort of narrating it for everyone else. I assume there's more context in the Japanese parts that I can't understand, but just very satisfying piece there. I just feel like all the boxes are ticked. I think it's about speeding down the highway without the care, David says. I agree. I can imagine that. One party won't be the end of this highway star. It's just a really cool song there with a great attitude to it and a really phenomenal performance across the kit with a great chemistry between members. And thank you to David for showing it. I appreciate that. What do we have next after David's request? We have a song from... Oh, that one's signed off. What do we have? We have 3... Now, I'm actually going to close the queue now because I've also got to keep track of my voice because my vocal cords, my throat's a little bit sore at the moment. But we've got 3 tracks to go after David's one, and I had a great time with it, so cheers for that. We have 2 from Judith, so Judith is next. It'll be good to hear what Judith has today, and then we have Paul and then Judith, and then we'll be good. And we will be back next week because I will be doing a live stream next week as well. This is 3 weeks in a row that we've done a live stream at the right time. It's amazing. We're almost to a month's worth of weekly live streams. Like, that's crazy, dude, because I am so inconsistent. It is so weird to actually be doing this on a weekly basis and it be somewhat functional. Let's go, Judith. And as per what I've been asking everyone else, Judith, what do you like about this track? What do you dig about it? Fair. I mean, it's a filthy tone on those guitars, though. Almost kind of manages to kind of match the amount of F-bombs in Killing a Name of, right? I don't have an issue with them. Oh, that tension with the flat seconds. Almost sort of doom metalish at this point. Is this the closest we're getting to a guitar solo? Oh. That crazy. That crazy kind of flutter on the left was really sort of disconcerting. But that was Viet Now from Rage Against the Machine, as requested by Judith. We liked mainly the anti-right message. Yep. Nah, I feel you on that. It is very close to metal. It is, yeah, no, absolutely. That kind of that doomish kind of stuff going on. The interlude was really kind of like intense. David says, I like that 90s rap doesn't just repeat one rhythm. The rap has a lot of variety. Yeah, I agree with that. I think, no, absolutely, I would agree with that. There's a lot of there's interesting flows to this between the various sections and even within various stanzas. I think it's really cool, eh? The guitar adds more different rhythms. Yeah, it does. Absolutely. So I think rhythm is so this track, first of all, my understanding of it is that it is talking about conservatives and there's stuff about like abortions and the devils turning off the devil sound and the AM playlist, which I assume is like talkback and illegal single woman being, you know, like that one inhuman illegal single woman. So it's talking about the messages that are being presented at a point in time, which, you know, that clearly Rage Against the Machine have an issue with, and fear is their only god. It's kind of brutal. That's effectively what it's talking about. It's talking about their perspective and the sheep, you know, the sheep tremble and here come the votes. It's very sort of like on the nose, but that's the kind of music that Rage Against the Machine makes, and I thought it's great that they were able to sort of articulate themselves like that. I think that one of the things that works really well with this track is simply the animosity from the vocalist and the rapper with the sung parts. They are clearly in it, and they're putting 110% into the performance, and they are not sleeping on it. That is expressed with vitriol through the microphone throughout this track. It's spicy and feisty, and he wants to sort of punch him in the teeth. And there is a wide variety, as David said, of different rhythms from the vocalist. You know, there are parts where it's more sort of like familiar, like, you know, the turn it off, the turn on the radio part. But there's other parts where we sort of switch it up to have a bit of variety within it. And we go back to more sort of familiar chordal or hook elements there. But there's this kind of push and pull between what's expected and what's sort of not. And I just feel like it's just smart. You know, it's just smart songwriting. Why would you want to have too much of the same thing? So I think in addition to that, it's the sludginess of the guitar tone. The way it just sounds kind of grotesque and it's kind of like not super duper defined. Almost like we're kind of like writhing in that misery there. It's just savage. It's a savage tone there that has some interesting flat second intervals occasionally for a sense of dissonance and sort of anguish. Other parts we go nice and low there for a bit of heaviness, almost like this is kind of like bashing our skulls in a bit. And there's never a point where we end up going for a major restriction there. It's constant unhappiness instrumentally, harmonically from the guitars with it, and it makes sense with the subject matter. So that's well connected. And I just think finally it's the fact that we had that just, it's, how do I describe it? It's just how unfiltered it is. The track is produced in a way overall where there's a slam and a sense of groove and rhythm and pace to it, and we're comfortable across the 8th quarter, triplet, 16th fundamentals. But it's also that we know it just sounds like an actual live performance as well. Like, it doesn't sound super overpolished. They haven't beat doctored anything. They just played together with a great chemistry. They were following each other. They all had a similar purpose and direction. And when things slowed down a little bit or came up, you just hear how smoothly they went between those, and you just cannot take that for granted in a studio situation, especially nowadays. We've got to appreciate the effort put into making a compelling performance in general, but especially with music like this, where it really was all about the feel and the sound of it. So overall, incredible track there, very authentic. Fantastic overall sort of like brutality to the tone of it, despite it not being like heavy in the grand scheme of things, but just the force behind it, the notes given apart from the stuff they really care about, the vocal style and the guitarist in general especially spoke out to me. But I appreciated it. Judith says, such an old song, but still somewhat applies to the modern world. Absolutely. Yeah. But thank you, Judith, for that request. So what do we got? We got 2 more, don't we? 2 more tracks. We've got one from Paul, and then the last one from Judith. So Paul, first of all, again, hopefully you're doing well today. Paul, if you can tell me what you like about this track that you've sent through, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. It'd be good to hear your thoughts on it. I'm trying to remember to ask people that when they submit stuff. So this is Chill Chill, Show Slay Show. I'm not sure what we're getting into, but I'm excited. Should be good. Here we are. Show Slay Show. That's very pretty. I like the ice cubes. Oh, with that guitar playing. Oh, man. By the way, Paul, sorry to interrupt. What do you think this track's about? Sorry to interrupt. What is this song about? That cowbell transition, though. Absolutely. Absolutely nice to add cowbells.
Next time 别太乖出头之前做好你的破绽，以你的身手还不够洒落。
All the way in.
坠入丧气，我还没用尽全力。Stand by，再来，这次到哪里画面还不精彩。Attention，别发呆，能够机会之前守住你的招牌，不许浪费，我对你期待。
Ooh, they could sing. Did you hear that last part there? They smashed that. That was phenomenal. That ride, the way that they went up in that range like that was ridiculous. So this was Show Slay Show from Chill Chill. I'm not sure what it was about. I know there were some parts in English, and I'd really like to be able to read the lyrics just so I can catch those. I just didn't get the words through clearly. But Paul, if you're watching this, if you can let me know, that'd be fantastic. Thanks. Either way, or anyone else, if they can let me know. Either way, one of the things I appreciated about this is that simply the vocal performance was phenomenal. The lady has pipes, and they were restrained and constrained for a lot of this. A lot of the energy and excitement came from all the different guitar parts there, some of the synth parts, the bass and the drums there, which were incredibly articulate. And they just, again, it was almost sort of like micromanaged in regards to the way they would put so many interesting little assets in there to kind of sit with. There was post-production was tremendous as well, but it's just, we sang in a way where it was just so easy to listen to. There's a gentle kind of tone to it, a breathiness to it, which is very sort of palatable. But then we sang, we had these harmonies which were luxurious. And then we at the end, it does that wonderful rise, that legato feel. We went up into our head voice, and above that was just, oh, we have been sleeping this entire time. We could go way harder, but we understood that we needed to sing in a way which was what the song needed. You know, the last thing we want is to try and sort of outshine the other elements, unless we are meant to be the sole focal point. But with how active a lot of the other components were within this track, I don't feel like that was necessarily the case. So Paul says, I think this song is about the struggle between men and women during love. Well, there you go. I can kind of understand that. I can kind of get that. So I think that they're just trying to maybe with the feel of it. And so the second thing I want to talk about is like this. There was the structure of it was intriguing, but it was the amount of guitar solos and other little bits of nuance and fancy that we had in it. It's a track where it does go for more contemporary verse, chorus feel. There were some breaks. There was a couple of solo sections, like at the start, we had a really classy, jazzy, sort of neo kind of soulish, kind of jazzy, funky sort of expression going on with the single coil get there, exploring the fretboard, the chromatics, sort of the modal sort of responses, etc. But it's just, there was this lovely hammer on and pull off stuff going on as well. The guy could really play the six strings, like just the skill required to be able to do those parts cleanly is high. They are a phenomenal guitarist. And I suppose in order to keep instead with the singer, you'd need to be at that point to be able to craft melodies and harmonies on a piece like this, which makes sense with the complexity of it, but also sound incredibly sort of chill and easy to dance along to. That's a difficult equilibrium to find. So they managed to achieve that here. So I think in addition to all of this, we have a piece where it kind of allows you to appreciate how good they are because they managed to play in a way that's very colorful and has a great sense of groove and rhythm to it, which works really well alongside the percussive elements like the drum parts and the bass and all that. And is a nice foil and alternate for the singer. But it's just structurally just allowing that plus all the context of the chorus and verse parts. We just sort of like, there's no filler. That 3 minutes 53 is well filled. It's hard enough getting a solo section, let alone two nowadays. And so they did tremendously well there. And I think finally, it's actually the production quality of it. It's the actual sound of the different instruments, as well as the vocals, the guitars, the bass, the synths, the everything in there sounded so exquisite in the way that it was EQ'd and filtered and recorded and placed in the stereo field as well as in the frequency spectrum with no resonances. There was like automation of filtering of parts. We go like that. And it's just little touches there that we have a similar idea to a previous bit. Oh, let's change the way it sounds in post to make this sound like it's new. Oh, we're in a new part of the track. Then switch to an interlude, bring it down, come back up there. It's just the polish with the dynamic range, the compression limiting the final loudness of it without being too smothered. Chef's kiss, man. This is probably one of my favorite tracks from today. Thank you to Paul for putting it forward. I appreciate it. Awesome song. Really enjoyed my time with it. So we're going to put that, we're going to go at mark as completed. But we have one more song after that one from Paul. This one is from Judith. So Judith has our last track for today, if I'm not mistaken. And what song is this? I wonder. Oh, yay! Okay, so let's do this. So this is a Funk Fusion cover of my favorite game, a little over the 5 minutes. See if we can get this sorted here. Boom. What do we got? What's the name of this? Oh, it's Balatro. It's the Funk Fusion cover. Let's do it. So what do you like about this song? But also, Judith, what do you like about Balatro? By Louis Clement. Oh man, this slaps. The ability there with those legato parts. Incredible keys, man. Yep. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well done, David. It's testament to his percussion, though, as well as drumming. Very good. Oh no! Whoa, 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 whoa! No, I'm sorry. No, 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 no. What is this? How did he do that? He caught it. He caught it, dude. He caught him. He caught himself and continued at that point. No way. No, no, no. This isn't me saying that. Haha, he dropped the drumstick. That's fantastic. The fact that he almost looks like he did that on purpose. That is such a fun. That's so cool that he's able to get back into the groove like that. Nah, no shade at all. That was cool, man. Absolutely. Woo! That Phil, man. You can see how much he's feeling it too. Like, that's just so cool, dude. The fact that we can kind of get back to the main core kind of foundation rhythm note there after that journey. Oh. It's so hard to get that kind of playing to sound good. And he brings it down. He brings it back down so good. Oh, that bass tone as well, dude. That was sensational. That was sensational. Yeah, like, did you see the kind of weird, kind of notched symbol? Like, if we go back to him, that one here, I don't know if you can see that. That kind of interesting sort of like, it's like a trash or something like that. That's just a really cool symbol. But like, when the guy, that's like 3K worth of symbols there. That's like 3K worth of symbols USD. He's not playing about. That guy is a session musician at that point. He's a session musician at that point. That's phenomenal. So like, just Judith. This is probably my favorite track. This is my favorite track for the day. It was so cool to hear it. Because this was the Balatro main theme, the Funk Fusion cover from Don Palombi. Hang on. Composed by Louis Clement, covered by Don Palombi. There we go. So, what do we think this track is about? It's about Balatro. It's about Balatro. So that's cool. It kind of makes me want to play it a little bit, although I feel like I get sucked in and then I wouldn't be able to do anything else for a bit. So it's a dangerous game. I might play it when I get my house situation sorted out. But Judith, I'm glad you felt it. Like honestly, they're fantastic with the drums. One of the things I appreciated about this cover is that they kept the core identity of the theme. It can be very easy, especially when you can really play, to overcomplicate a piece to try and make it your own. But I feel like it's so important to try and keep the original inspiration of what the track is. Because I feel like if you don't, it's sort of it kind of, it's not, doesn't do due justice to what made the original so cool in the first place. So I'm glad that we had the original theme performed in there in the same key signature, I assume, and stuff like that. It's just really dope. It's just really cool. So we had the main sort of like theme respected and adhered to. The actual performance on the keys with the balance of different sort of bass and sort of like lead synths was wonderful. It was nice that we explored those separate low, mid, and high ranges. It was great that we captured ourselves playing all of those on like an old school keyboard there that you can't do like the quantizing and stuff like that with necessarily. So it's just a really great organic raw performance there. They can just really play the keys. And honestly, I think at this point, if you can play the piano really well and if you can play the acoustic drums really well, you can do a hell of a lot nowadays with music production, even without needing to record it acoustically. So I just think in general, the tones they used made sense with the cover. It's just really well balanced in regards to how the bass and sort of like those lower elements come in with a sense of sort of like fuzzy, sort of like richness that makes it sort of seem sort of like a warm embrace. There's a lot of colors. I see like purples and pinks and stuff like that. And it's a really interesting direction for that. But it's also just really sort of technically proficient, like really technically competent. They can clearly play the keys and it was just a pleasure to listen through. And also the drums. The drums were incredible as well. I appreciated the control of the kit, the groove playing in that 7/4, as David pointed out. It's just a tremendous effort on their part there. And I hear it and I go, what could they have done to improve the performance? And I don't really think there's anything they could have done to improve it. Even the part where they dropped the drumsticks, it was like a moment where you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? But they just so classily get back into it and the show must go on. And it's one of the things that when I work with the students that I work with, you know, because I teach music to people, when I work with these students, I try and encourage them to try and find the groove again and to continue from where they left off because it's so vital that they do that. You know, you can't just stop playing, and that drummer is the epitome of that. They know to continue, so it's very cool. And just the 16th triplets and the other sort of fills we had with incredible speed and accuracy later on, and just the flow of it and the choice of cymbals and drums for those parts as well were tremendous. So ultimately, it's just a very, very special piece that was done justice, I think, by Don Palombi. I feel like it's transcendent, and I think it made the most of the original subject matter. Judith says, Game of the Year played the orchestra version of the song, but this cover just feels so right. The theme is so cool. It is. It is. It does really want me to make me play it. I might do so in my own time. I'll let you know if I do. Apparently it is very, very good. But just I want to say that this is it's just great to see people playing these instruments and playing them well and making it their own. They handled themselves so well. So that's my review of that track, Balatro main theme, the funk fusion cover. It was awesome, and thank you for that, Judith. Just before we get into the conclusion, I just want to thank everyone who put a request through today. We had songs from Judith, Paul, David, Andreas, Dinnerhay, Dr. Theo, Jacob. Thank you for all of your requests. I really appreciate being able to listen to music. Thank you for being a part of the live stream. I appreciate as well. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic weekend. I will be back next week. I have been enjoying these weekly ones. I just think when I was trying to do them 2 or 3 times a week, it was just too much. And I'd become inconsistent. Doing them once a week is cool. Same time, same place as well. If you join the Discord, link in the description, I will, after this, I will within the next few hours schedule the next live stream so you have like something to follow in regards to that. And just but remember, you don't have to request a track to sort of like chat and just hang out. If you just want to talk about music, we can do that too. It's just up to you. But either way, thanks for coming to this live stream request thing, the $6 ones. Hopefully you enjoyed it or at least found a track you liked. If you did, please do go show the musicians and artists some love via their various social medias and their YouTube or Spotify's, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Do I have that still going even when it's not a part of it? I don't think it should be doing that. Oh, it should be, I don't think that's meant to do that. It's all right. We'll figure that out on our own time, I suppose. But stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists. And I will catch you in the next live stream. Spider Hands out. 3, 2, 1.